Welcome to another episode of Talking Ball with Pat Leonard on the Believe Network and the PL on NFL YouTube channel. Please like, rate, review, and subscribe. Special guest today is Shawne Merriman, NFL All-Pro and the founder of Lights Out Xtreme Fighting. Can't wait to dive into this interview about MMA, James Harrison, Chad Ochocinco beef, Super Bowl, NFL Combine, and more. We are brought to you here by MyBookie. MyBookie is bringing you coin throughout the football season and into the offseason. March Madness upcoming. We won you a bunch of money with MyBookie with our promo code Pat's Picks during the season. Use that code and get a 50% match on your first deposit of $50 or more, all the way up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. We hit, I believe it was 55% of our bets through the regular season. And then in the Super Bowl, the Eagles money line, the over on that game, the Devontae Smith anytime touchdown. You came out of that Super Bowl flush if you bet with me on Talking Ball with Pat Leonard and MyBookie. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Also brought to you by Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink, a natural extract loaded with anti-inflammatory, immune-boosting antioxidants and heart-healthy compounds. You can easily pour this natural liquid supplement into any of your favorite drinks. I put mine in my coffee every morning and immediately feel the difference. I personally feel a post-workout like energy boost with Boom. Chaga also has the ability to lower cholesterol, reduce inflammation, and improve immune and heart health with its beta-glucans and antioxidants. Go to boomchaga.com today. Use the Talkin' Ball 25 code. You can see the QR code on your screen, and you'll get 25% off your first order on the subscribe and save option. Start feeling the difference today at boomchaga.com. Also brought to you by Estate 98 Coffee, a specialty coffee concentrate. Makes a quick cup of hot or iced. Also great as an espresso martini mixer. Go to estate98.com/talkinball for a special 80% off your first order there. And last but not least, brought to you by Sal Loretta for Men, luxury menswear and tailoring in Midland Park, New Jersey. Go check them out. Tell them Pat you sent you. All right, and on to our special interview with Shawne Merriman, NFL All-Pro and founder of Lights Out Xtreme Fighting. All right. Welcome back to Talking Ball with Pat Leonard on the Believe Network and the YouTube channel PL on NFL. As I said, I promised a special guest today, former NFL All-Pro and founder of Lights Out Xtreme Fighting, Mr. Lights Out himself, Shawne Merriman. Shawne, thanks so much for being here.
You got it, man. Thanks for having me.
So Lights Out Xtreme Fighting is developing MMA's next great stars through huge events streamed free at Lights Out Sports TV. Shawne, I noticed Lights Out 22 went down on February 7th. How did it go? How did that big event go?
It was great, man. It was actually our first time having a fight on Friday. We had the UFC, I think was 311 or UFC was Saturday. So we didn't want to go up against that. Plus, we had a lot of coaches and fighters who couldn't make the Saturday fight. So we moved it to Friday, but the turnout was great. Probably our highest, not probably, it was our highest viewed show on Lights Out Sports TV, which is my free ad-supported all sports streaming platform that's available on every smart TV device, iOS and Android.
Yeah, I didn't notice this, but I was going over some interviews you did on Super Bowl Radio Row. It turns out you televise a lot more than the MMA on Lights Out Sports TV. You said you had the East-West Shrine practices as well?
I did, man. We had exclusive rights to the East-West Shrine Bowl practices. Obviously, NFL Network had the game. But it turned out, man, it was 92 guys got invited to the Combine from that practice. It was the highest ever. And I like to say we had a small part of that because we had so much distribution for it. But the East-West Shrines Bowl is the oldest All-Star game. It's older than the Senior Bowl. And it was the first time that they're letting juniors, like Shador Sanders was there, and, Brian Daboll we got interviews from, and Joe, who was the GM there for the Giants. It was over 750 NFL scouts and personnel at practice those 4 days. So it was great, man. It was a great turnout for us. And, to that point, until the fight happened, it was our highest viewed show, and then the fight came in.
Yeah, no, people can't get enough of that. To your point about how many Combine invites happened there, you're really providing exposure to a part of the offseason that people weren't getting that kind of exposure to before. So credit to you and Lights Out Sports TV. That's a free streaming app and service. Go download it now. So we mentioned Lights Out 22, Shawne, and I noticed this caught my eye, I think a lot of people's eyes. So James Harrison, the two-time Super Bowl winner and two-time All-Pro, and Chad Ochocinco, the two-time All-Pro, they got a little beef going on here on the Nightcap show with Shannon Sharpe and Chad Ochocinco. You saw the beef escalating. James Harrison, I noticed, even said that he had been baptized this past year, but now Ochocinco's trash talk is going to make him go back on some of his promises. So at Lights Out 22, you called out James Harrison. You called him out to bring the beef to Lights Out. So I want to know now, as we go like a week or two later here, what's the latest on James Harrison? Has he gotten back to you? Is this going to happen? And how did where does this all stand?
Yeah, so their Radio Row, I was there, and I saw them over the past several months kind of going back and forth over social media. And look, I got respect for both of those guys. Chad's my boy. Got a ton of respect for James Harrison, but I don't think that they'll ever fight. I think that it's more of a social media beef and things like that. So I threw it out there. I said, look, if he's looking for a real fight, yeah, I would love to fight James Harrison. I mean, I think that people would absolutely watch. I think that they know that they got two beasts going in there that's going to get after it. I think we can go and put on a great show. Obviously, with Lights Out Xtreme Fighting, I got the platform. We can make it live on Lights Out Sports TV. But again, I try to stay away from Pat. Is the biggest problem I have with today. I love my fighters on social media talking back and forth, and they got a fight coming up and promoting the fight is great. I just stayed away from calling certain guys out because I really want to fight. I really want to make it happen. So I'll send a contract or try to talk to guys behind closed doors. I sent him a few different texts to see if he really wanted to fight. I got no response. That's why I took it there where I called him out doing Lights Out Xtreme Fighting 22. I said, look, I try to go behind closed doors. I believe if somebody really, really want to make something happen, they'll check the temperature behind closed doors, right? That's what I did. No response. And so I called him out. So that offer's still on the table. I would 100% do it. If he was into it, I'll make it happen. I'll make it worthwhile. Obviously, I'll make sure he's paid. But let's give the people what they want to see. Let's give fans what they want to see. Me and Debo.
Man, I would watch that. So, but you think Chad and Harrison, that's all talk. Like that's never going to happen. Like, would you also kind of field that at Lights Out as well? That fight, if it ever actually happened?
Yeah, absolutely. We're not going to announce it now. Rampage Jackson and Rashad Evans are fighting April 12th. I don't know if you saw that or not. That's going to be live on Lights Out Sports TV. So that'll be out in the next hour or two. But you got it now. So that fight will be live. But yeah, if Chad and James Harrison, which I don't think is going to be a great matchup, want to fight, we'll stream it live on Lights Out Sports TV. But I think that fans will rather see me and James Harrison fight instead of him and Chad. So I'm not trying to step between their beef. I don't know if it's real or not, or just for social media. But I believe that if James Harrison was in, that would be massive.
How do you think the fight between you and James would go?
Somebody not leaving the cage. Yeah. Somebody. I mean, it's just what it is. To be honest, like somebody's not leaving. If they do, it's going to be 5 or 10 minutes later after somebody wake up. Right? It's like neither one of us is just walking out of there clean, and that's what the fans want to see, and that's what I would love to give them. And I think that the NFL guys will watch. I think it'll be a big hit. And so, we'll go three 3-minute rounds, right? 3-minute rounds in an MMA cage. Obviously Debo is still in great shape. We're seeing the videos of him still posting. He's strong as hell, right? I think the fight would make sense. And if he was into it, I would make it worth it.
I can say firsthand, I was at Super Bowl Media Row. I saw you walking around doing interviews. And I just want to say, hey, James, getting in the ring with Shawne right now, I mean, you better make sure you're in shape because Shawne is. You like Merriman, you are ready to go. You look like you're ready for that moment. Am I wrong about that?
No, man, it's on. I've been, I put a couple contracts out behind closed doors, and Bobby Lashley from the WWE has brought my name up a few times. I would think about doing that one. The only reason why I feel that, me and Chad and James Harrison would be bigger is because neither one of us had pro fights yet. And it'll be the first time anybody see us both in action for the first time. Obviously, I've been training for years, but I haven't had a pro fight, and I think that will bring a lot of eyeballs. And I know because of both of our personalities that somebody's not leaving the cage, right? I know that, and I think that that's what people want to see.
As you said, you've been training for several years. If Harrison is not like trained in this type of fighting, would you have to give him an on-ramp to do that? Or because he's an athlete at the highest level, is it kind of like just a a bare knuckles MMA brawl, like, he could try to take you to the mat? Like, is it
Yeah.
something like you think he'd be ready for, or is the lack of training compared to maybe how you have like honed your skills in that area, would that put him up against it like right off the bat?
I think that's what his method would be 100% is try to get me to the ground because he is strong. I know he does have like a wrestling background. So he's not like an amateur walking in. He does have some experience when it comes to wrestling. And with his personality, I know that he wants to come out and bang. We want to stand up and give the crowd everything they want. And I would give him time, man. I wouldn't say, hey, we got to fight in the next few months. Like, within the next 6 months, whatever it is, I will give him time to train and get in shape. And then it also give us time to work the deal out. And, I'll make it worth it for him. I'll put, the right amount of money there where, it's hard to say no. So it's just really up to him. I want it. And let's see what happens.
No, I love that idea. And like you said, since you don't think the Ocho Cinco Harrison would be much of a fight, maybe Chad could just be in your corner yapping, as you and Harrison were going toe to toe, make it a little bit more, add a little bit more trash talk to it.
Yeah, we'll have Chad announcing the fight, man. I think Chad can announce the fight. He's good on the mic, so maybe him and Shannon can bring Nightcap and they can announce the fight.
Oh, that's a great idea. And yeah, so obviously we're not talking about that fight. We're talking about you, Harrison. I did want to ask you though, as I was looking at that beef, like just familiarizing myself with how heated it was getting and Harrison like really talking about actually doing it. Chad said something in that kind of argument back and forth where he said to Harrison, like basically he knows he couldn't get in a fist fight with him and win, but he said like, you'd be too tired. You wouldn't be able to catch me. Like you would wear down. Is that something that could be very real in a fight with, one guy who is so obviously physically superior, but somebody else who's just in conditioning and can run and move forever? Like, could you legitimately make something like that a fight that goes several rounds just because somebody is in that much better shape?
Yeah, and that's what Chad would do. Chad will run around the cage or the ring, probably the ring. They'll run around the ring for the first round or so. I would say Debo probably would get tired going into the second, and that's when Chad will kind of pick him off. I actually, on a boxing match, I like Chad in that matchup if they're going to a 4 to 6 round fight. Chad actually, I don't know if you saw his last boxing match, but he looked pretty good. Like he looked pretty good in the ring. And I think that I like that matchup in a boxing match for Chad.
He's got some sweet feet. Yeah, no, Debo, James Harrison, let's make it happen. I'll tell you what, Shawne, like you said, I do think that's the fight people will want to see. I'd be on Lights Out Sports TV watching it. I can tell you that. All right, shifting a little bit to some NFL talk. Obviously, you're a former NFL All-Pro. No stranger to punishing people on the field, on the gridiron. That's why you have the nickname Lights Out. 17 sacks in 2006. Shawne, I asked this question to a lot of NFL players, former and current. How did you either have or develop a killer instinct? And I asked that question because, I cover the Giants and the NFL, and I feel like certain teams just bring a different level of toughness, aggressiveness, and killer instinct to the line of scrimmage. And I just want to know from your playing days and your experience, is that something you had to develop over time? Were you born with just a desire to hit somebody and take the will from them? What is your take on all of that as a football player and mindset?
Yeah, I think you're born with it. But I also think that a lot of people have it in them and you need somebody to bring it out of them, right? That's what made Ray Lewis so great because he got some of those guys who didn't really have that switch and they didn't have that killer instinct that was like for 4 quarters, right? You had to get them mad, had to get them upset, and then you started to see the best of these guys. So the Ray Lewises of the world, the guys that are around them brought this to the table where they didn't let them not have that killer instinct because you wouldn't fit in, right? So if you got a bunch of dogs out there that's hunting and you got this one dog out here that wants to be a puppy and doesn't want to fight back, and you just won't fit in. And that is what makes great teams. That's why it starts with a defensive coordinator or head coach to start instilling this into the team, to the chemistry, to the DNA of organization, and then it trickles down. And then the guys who don't have the killer instinct, they just weed themselves out because they won't fit in.
Very interesting. Right. So creating that culture of accountability and then drawing it out of the people and giving them no choice, essentially.
No doubt. No question about that.
Interesting. All right. So you brought up the NFL, the NFL Combine and the NFL Draft. You were, of course, the 12th overall pick in 2005. You did not, however, work out at the NFL Combine, which nowadays that's a kind of a regular thing. Some guys don't do it. That was a little bit more rare when you were coming out of Maryland. Take me back to your decision on why, and then how teams reacted to that when you did still like come to Indianapolis and do all those interviews.
Oh, they hated it. I mean, they grilled me in the hotel rooms there in Indianapolis at the combine, where the GMs or the coaches or the scouts and staff circled me up in a little hotel room and asking me, who do I think I am? Right? I'm not working out. Do I think I'm better than everybody else? And I kind of just sat there and shook my head because you're not going to win that conversation, but they're trying to get the most out of you so you actually go and work out that day. I didn't work out because I strained my quad working out 2 weeks on the track with Darren Sproles and Pac-Man. I was running on the track with them in LA because we all had the same agent, Gary Wishard. And 2 weeks before the combine, as I was sprinting, I strained my quad pretty good. And so I didn't work out for that reason. But I knew the pro day was coming up, and then I'll have everybody out there then. And that's exactly what happened. But I don't honestly, I think that if you're for sure top draft pick, go out there and do the basics, right? Your vertical, your bench, your measurements, all the things they're looking for you to do. But you want to be in the comfort zone of setting up the drills, and you want to be in the comfort zone of your own home, wherever your home is in front of the scouts, where you feel good about working out. Because if it's pressure, they're doing something to make you feel awkward. It's an awkward drill, or it's an awkward situation. They're judging you off of that. And so they'll give you a lot of crap and tell you that we want you to do this. We want you to do that. Oh, you're going to drop in a draft if you don't do that. Just let that go through one ear and out the other and show them what you got in the pro day.
That's really good advice. Control your environment. And I do think, Shawne, too, like you said, even though an injury kind of led to that decision, I do think teams understand as well. Like it's not as adversarial as it used to be, where teams are saying, who do you think you are? It's more like players, credit to guys like yourself along the way, kind of prioritizing what's the best way for me to put the best foot forward. And teams kind of understand that and show up to those pro days and take that as the numbers that they're going to go with and use for the NFL draft. Right. So great advice for the young up and coming college prospects coming here. So you were a pass rusher, a guy who got after the quarterback, a killer on the defensive side of the ball. And something happened this season for the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, Shawne, that I wanted to get your take on. There was an outside linebacker named Zach Baun who was playing for the New Orleans Saints. It's kind of a situational player on the edge and a special teamer. Vic Fangio and the Eagles get him in, shift him to inside linebacker, and he becomes a defensive player of the year candidate. Could you provide some context for me and for our viewers how difficult it is to maybe identify a position change like that in a player, and then how tough it is for a player like Baun to execute in a dramatic shift like that immediately on a championship team?
This is why coaching matters. And this is why, certain guys bounce around from team to team. Because you got these coaches who want to come in and have a scheme, right? This is what I want to run. You're going to play this position, and I don't care what else you can do. This is what I want you to do because this is what I know. I don't think those make the great coaches. No, mostly those coaches get fired. And in my opinion, they ruin guys' career. They, send a bad message, and now, God doesn't want to do a certain thing. Last year, I don't believe like a guy like Micah Parsons, he should never have his hand in the dirt on one side of the football. This guy runs a 4.4, 245 or 50 pounds or whatever it is. You have him all around the field. You move around. Fangio, he's going to go down as one of the best D coordinators ever, along with Spagnuolo and some of these other guys. I played for a great one in Wade Phillips, and Wade Phillips had this saying: you're going to do 80% of what you're great at and 20% of what you're not. And what that meant is that I wasn't great at covering tight ends and running backs out the backfield and running down the field and dropping into coverage. That's not what I was great at doing. I could do it, but I wasn't great at doing it. So he knew that I had to get after the quarterback, and whether that's coming off the left side, the right side, blitzing down the A/B gap, they always had me going because that's what I was great at doing. In my opinion, coaches that have a a structure and a scheme that they know how to run, and they take great players and they put them in a position, you minimize, you take your best chess player off the field, you wipe him off the field, and you put him on one side, meaning that you've now taken away his ability. So Fangio, they found something in Zach, and they say, you know what, we see what you can do good. We're going to put you in a position to be successful, and that's what great coordinators do.
No, and you know what, Sean? It really interests me. I started covering the league regularly, like daily, in 2016. It surprised me as I started covering the league that more coordinators and coaches didn't do what you're saying. You know, it shocked me, like when you hear about guys like Bill Belichick, people say, why are these guys good coaches? Wade Phillips. A lot of times they just say, well, it's because week to week, they just kind of adjust to the opponent and what their players can do well. And they don't just try to fit a square peg in a round hole. And it alarmed me that that was more the norm, that it was kind of like, here's my system, everybody's got to fit. So I think that's a great point. And yeah, this is an all-time move by Fangio and an all-time move by Baun. Great point by you. You brought up Micah Parsons. Do you think that Dallas is the best place for him? You're talking about his usage. You know, this is a guy that Dallas needs to pay here if they're going to want to continue to build around him. Is Dallas the best place for him? Should the Cowboys lock him up, or would you like to see him somewhere else?
Honestly, I think the Cowboys have much more problems than just a fix with Micah Parsons, in my opinion, right? They got to figure out what's going on with the quarterback situation. They got so many different missing pieces. I would like to see Micah Parsons go somewhere where he's used appropriately. I think the last couple of years of him putting his hand in the dirt, staying on one side of the field, not being able to move around. I don't know the defensive coordinator there now, but I just saw him come out in the media and said, hey, we're moving Micah around. He's not going to be in one spot. That's the mindset you have. But truthfully, it's going to be a big salary cap hit for Micah. And if you're planning on paying Dak and paying some of these other guys or rebuilding the team for the next 4 or 5 years, you might want to look at – this is not a knock on Micah. This is actually a positive is what I'm saying, is that I think he's so valuable that he's going to require a massive deal. And I'm looking at it. Dallas have so many holes to fill that I don't think keeping Micah Parsons is going to just make your entire team better and make your defense better. He's, top, in my opinion, top 3 player, defensive player in the National Football League. But when you're on a team, and I'm putting my GM hat on, if you got so many holes to fill, I don't think signing a big deal to Micah Parsons is going to make the overall team better.
Very interesting decision there. A great player, as you said. Shifting real quick to another top defensive player, Sean, probably in your top 3 list there, Myles Garrett. Now, right now, Cleveland is saying they're not going to trade him, even though Myles Garrett has requested a trade. Let's just play the hypothetical game, though. If the Browns move on, if they send him somewhere where he has a better chance to win, where would you like to see him fit best?
Look, I would love to see him come out to the Chargers, knowing that Khalil Mack probably has another year left if he decides to come back. What they're going to do, obviously, Joey Bosa's getting up there, and him and Thule, who's the other young pass rusher that's coming up. I think they'll make a great combination. But when you're talking about team needs, Commanders, I would like to see him out there with the Commanders, because I think they're 1 or 2 guys off on the defense side of the ball. Their offense is they're put together. Running back position, quarterback position, obviously, wide receiver position. They got offensive line. Their offense, they can go, but they're 1 or 2 players off on that defense from really taking that next step. And if they want to make a real run at the championship, you need a Myles Garrett on that team. I think he can put you over that hump.
Yeah, no, Jaden Daniels is serious. They have turned around quickly. And after they traded Montez Sweat over to Chicago the year before, Chase Young didn't pan out. You add Myles Garrett now to that pass rush in that front, and look at the team you've assembled there. Last quick question on football, Sean. The NFL announced that the Chargers will be going to Sao Paulo for the second game in Brazil. Obviously, the Eagles and the Packers were the landmark, inaugural game down there in South America and Brazil. What do you think? What was your reaction to hearing that the Chargers are going to be down there kind of flying the NFL flag? And how exciting is that for an NFL team and a Chargers player? Put your hat back on when you were back playing. How excited is that to go to a country like Brazil in front of a fan base like that to play.
It's outstanding. Believe it or not, there's a lot of Chargers fans in Brazil. I got a really good friend of mine who was at ESPN Brazil, and he told me he was sending me videos and FaceTiming me where going to local bars and going to local motorcycle shops and things like that. And they had my jersey in those places. So there's a lot of Chargers fans. And I think for the Chargers fan base, it obviously expands all the way through and what they're doing. And it's great for the NFL. I think it's a great move all the way around. And you know who else played their game in Brazil that went to the Super Bowl? So
good point. Good point.
Gotta be a little something there, right?
Good karma and good vibes. Yeah, no doubt.
Know it.
All right. So it's Lights Out Extreme Fighting. Lights Out Extreme Fighting 23 is coming on March 22nd at Thunder Studios in Long Beach, California. And Shawne, you broke some news here. You said what was the big matchup that's coming again?
The Rashad Evans, Rampage Jackson fight April 12th in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Will be live on Lights Out Sports, exclusively live on Lights Out Sports TV. That should be out here in the next hour or two. But yeah, that's going to be massive. You got to see this undercard. I mean, it is completely stacked with like big names from the combat sports world, from the influencer world. They did a great job with this card. So it'll be out here in the next couple hours, so I can't say too much yet. But this card is completely stacked. But how much bigger can you get between Rampage Jackson and Rashad Evans? I mean, these are two of the most notable names in combat sports history getting their rematch on.
Well, it's not, I wasn't going to say bigger, but you could get bigger by stacking on top of it Shawne Merriman versus James Harrison, right? That's the next one coming down the pike. Maybe throw it in around the holidays, give him some time to train a little MMA and get it down around Thanksgiving or Christmas. You never know.
I would absolutely look. That would make my Christmas. That would make my New Year. That would make all of 2026. All right. So James Harrison, if you ever looking at this, let's do it. Let's get the fans what they want, and I'll make it worthwhile.
Awesome. He is NFL All-Pro and founder of Lights Out Extreme Fighting, Mr. Lights Out himself, Shawne Merriman. Thank you so much for being here on Talking Ball with Pat Leonard on the Believe Network.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, that was cool. We broke some news in the MMA world there with Shawne Merriman, the former NFL All-Pro. That was an awesome interview. I liked what he said about Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys specifically. Go check out that full interview on the Talking Ball with Pat Leonard podcast. You can watch it on the YouTube channel, PL on NFL, or listen to it on the Believe Network. It's the Talking Ball with Pat Leonard feed. That's on Apple Podcasts. It's on Spotify. Really, wherever you get an audio podcast, you can find us there. Remember to rate, review, like, and subscribe. That engagement helps us continue to build this community. Make sure you come back anytime we're doing Talking Ball live. Those are live chats with Giants and NFL fans talking about the league. This is a great time to do those live chats because there's a lot of rumors, a lot of information flying around about free agents, the NFL draft, etc. And in the entertainment world as well, not just in football, as Shawne Merriman told you guys just here. So reminder, we are brought to you by Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink, MyBookie Sportsbook, Salaretta for Men, Luxury Menswear, and Estate 98 Coffee. MyBookie is rolling out the red carpet for sports bettors all year long. March Madness is coming up. We got through the football season winning, I think it was about 55% of our bets, plus hitting big on several huge bets on the Super Bowl with the Eagles money line, the over, Devontae Smith anytime touchdown, even honestly hit on a Cooper DeJean anytime touchdown. Not sure if I gave that one out. I really have to get better at giving you even those little morsels, those Pat's picks, those props, those nuggets that end up shooting the moon. Maybe even start, let's say, like a Discord next NFL season where we can share all of those minute to minute as they pop up. But you're going to use the promo code Pat's Picks at MyBookie, and you'll get a 50% match on your first deposit of $50 or more, all the way up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. Start feeling the difference. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere at MyBookie. I was already on to thinking about Boom Chaga right here over my shoulder because Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink is a natural extract loaded with anti-inflammatory, immune-boosting antioxidants, and heart-healthy compounds. You can easily pour this natural liquid supplement into any of your favorite drinks. I put mine in my coffee every morning and immediately feel the difference. I personally have felt a post-workout-like energy boost with Boom. Chaga also has the ability to lower cholesterol, reduce inflammation, and improve immune and heart health. with its beta glucans and antioxidants. Go to boomchaga.com today to place your first order. Use that code TalkingBall25 or the QR code on your screen and get 25% off your first order on the subscribe and save option. Right now, that means you're going to start feeling the difference today, and you're going to go to boomchaga.com with that TalkingBall25 code. Also, Estate 98 coffee. It's estate98.com/talkingball. It's a natural specialty coffee that's going to take 10 seconds to make a delicious hot or iced coffee, or you can use it as a terrific espresso martini mixer. Go to estate98.com/talkingball for that 80% off order, exclusive offer now. And last but not least, right here on the mug, Sal Loretta for Men, luxury menswear and tailoring in Midland Park, New Jersey. Go there, tell them Pat from Talking Ball sent you. Thanks again for being here for Talking Ball with Pat Leonard. We will see you next time.